I kind of think this was doomed from the beginning. And as Prince William reportedly told Harry, haste makes waste, get to know her better, don't jump into this. And hindsight is 2020. I think he's probably wanting to say to his brother, oh my God, you were so bloody right. I can't believe this. And it happened. It unfolded the way people predicted it, the way Prince William seemingly thought it would. And that's sad because
and you too.
Yeah.
Because that's what's so fascinating. Meghan had her sister saying this isn't going to work. Harry had his brother saying this isn't going to work. And unfortunately, Harry was completely drunk on love. And he took leave of all of his senses. But there's a lot that he cannot erase. An extraordinary breaking royal story developing right now. Operation Bring Prince Harry in from the Cold. The Mail on Sunday reporting in some detail at the weekend how the Duke of Sussex is so miserable with his new life in the US, so sick of all of the woke-topians from Hollywood who've been giving him this terrible advice. He's now turned back to his old friends and is trying to rehabilitate himself. So, what does this mean for Prince Harry's relationship with the royal family? And most significantly, Prince Harry's relationship with his wife, Meghan Markle, which seems to be only heading in one direction. No one else I would rather discuss this with more than my friend and the sister of aforementioned Meghan Markle, Samantha Markle, joining me live from Florida. So, Sam, we have loads to go through on this today. Bombshell after bombshell has emerged. But what's your overall take on this? Because what's so fascinating is no one is denying the fact that Meghan Markle, your sister, hates the UK. So for Harry to be talking about a return surely means a return without her, whether it's full-time or part-time.
Oh my God. Hi, Jen. You said it yourself. Sometimes you just got to laugh. So let's take a stroll down memory lane. We went from the Freedom Flight to Operation Save Harry, from the cold, right? So, all of these dramas, flying to freedom, flying away from what he called freedom. And, we watched him whine about being the spare, not the heir. We watched him then whine about things not working out in Hollywood. So it's like, this big whine thing, but you got to ask, all of this bouncing about and all of the damage that's been done to the royal family, it seems like he didn't like being low on the figurative totem pole. He didn't like being at the bottom of the ladder. So now he's going to go from being a royal, being a prince, trashing his family, going to Hollywood, being a nobody, and now wanting to go back to the fold, quote. And if he doesn't like being on the bottom of the ladder, it kind of seems like going back. Don't you think he'll not only be at the bottom of the ladder, but like way down in the basement? He's going to be at the bottom of everything, going back. And I would think, realistically, so much trust has been breached. It's going to take him quite some time to build friendships that rely on trust. So he's got a long way to go. But if he doesn't like being at the bottom, he's sure making a leap back to, I would say, the deep basement bottom. What do you think? I mean, really, I don't see it as being a jiffy pop
I think
solution.
This is an absolutely desperate move. Things are going terribly in the US. The entertainment empire has been a disaster. The American celebrities have turned off him. And Colombia, I think, was an absolute critical moment, Sam. I know we've spoken about it before, but he looked miserable. He couldn't even hide it. Do you know the only time Prince Harry didn't look miserable in Colombia? When he was flirting with the hot female translator on the first day and trying to edge as far away from your sister as humanly possible. There was also the fact that Meghan was loving being in the limelight. This seems to be what she wants to do. And Harry is so clearly hating it. And in fact, new information, Sam, has emerged from The Sun, which reports that Prince Harry is moaning to pals that he feels like the spare again in exile in the US and might want to come home. And they quote friends as saying that Harry is feeling more and more isolated in California. The Colombia trip also really highlighted how Meghan is comfortable stepping into the spotlight while Harry cuts a very sulky figure, unhappy figure in the background. He wants to carve out a way back into royal life back in the UK and is seeking counsel from old friends and associates. But a lot of this is surely Meghan wanting to be the star, and she's not the royal. Her husband's the royal.
I know, but even let's reduce this down and factor in everything that's going on right now. We're talking about freedom of speech. Harry totally disparaged his family in his publications, interviews, certainly spewed off at the mouth, abusing our First Amendment freedom of speech in the United States. So going back, does he think he's going to have any freedom of speech, given all that's going on in Great Britain? Oh my God. This I got to see. What is he thinking? He had so much more freedom to shoot off at the mouth, clearly, than he did in the States. So, I'm just thinking, okay, fine. He wants an escape route. Nothing's working out for him. But here's the bottom line. Everywhere he's gone, nothing worked out. So what that seems to suggest is, you know what? You got to look in the mirror. You can't run from yourself. He's going to be back at the drawing board, going back there, unhappy, being the spare, not being at the top of the ladder, not having freedom of speech, because he'll have less now than he did in the United States going back. What's he thinking?
And what do you think this says about his marriage to Meghan?
He said something once, his own words. He said, I never knew how unhappy I was until she told me. So when he said that, I thought, seems like coaching. How long can a man go on and be happy, always being coached, always being defined by her words, by what she says, seemingly. And I kind of thought, wow, this is telegraphing. He's being emasculated. She's defining him. She's telling him whether or not he's happy and what that looks like. So I had a feeling this would happen, but what I didn't think was going to happen would be that he would disparage everybody in his family along the way and then expect to reach back. I mean, because families, I think, want to be unconditionally forgiving. You love family members, they can step on your head with cleats and you will always love them and welcome them back. But we're not talking about the bell curve, and we're not talking about an isolated incident. We're talking about years of repeated infractions, insults, disparagement, hurt, lies, abandonment. So that is a lot for, in my opinion, King Charles or any of the royals to welcome back into the fold. And granted, it might happen. That's up to them, because families do that. But in my opinion, there will always be that little question mark, that little, is he wearing a Netflix wire? That little, is he lying to us? That little, is he getting more information to put in another book? Is this going to turn into something defamatory and disparaging when he does not get his way? So I can't help but believe that the royal family will always have that question mark. So my suggestion would be a couple of years of counseling, a pattern of proven loyalty and reliabilities to rebuild that trust. And maybe it can happen, but in his mind, it seems like he wants just to jump back into being in the fold and be Prince Harry, Prince of Great Britain, one of the hottest men in the world. Somebody called him one of the most eligible bachelors. Not going to happen that way. So if he's willing to be realistic and do the work, then he'll probably be okay after several years. But as far as his marriage to her goes, at this point, sometimes I just say, oh, who really cares? I kind of think this was doomed from the beginning. And as Prince William reportedly told Harry, haste makes waste, get to know her better, don't jump into this. And hindsight is 2020. I think he's probably wanting to say to his brother, oh my God, you were so bloody right. I can't believe this. And it happened. It unfolded the way people predicted it, the way Prince William seemingly thought it would. And that's sad because
and you
was,
too.
Yeah.
Because that's what's so fascinating. Meghan had her sister saying this isn't going to work. Harry had his brother saying this isn't going to work. And unfortunately, Harry was completely drunk on love. And he took leave of all of his senses. But there's a lot that he cannot erase, Sam. And this is the issue that I have. He cannot erase the things he said about Prince William, especially in Spare. He cannot erase the things he said about Queen Camilla and his father, especially in Spare. He cannot erase the impression that he put out to the world that Catherine, the Princess of Wales, is some sort of bitch, which we all know is completely ludicrous. We know who the bitch is. But unfortunately, Sam, he can't just reverse all of that stuff.
Exactly. And I don't think, you can love someone, you can forgive them, you can welcome them back. But, again, we're not talking about something under the bell curve. We're talking about a statistical outlier, extreme, continued damage, insults, hurt. And, it's like having a hole in your chest. And when the hole goes out the back bigger than it went in, figuratively, how do you heal that? How do you feel that love again, where the trust has been so trashed? I mean, to have real love, family, friends, or relationships, by God, you have to have trust. Because if you don't, those touchy-feely moments, those goo-goo eyes, that passion will never be the same. And so it will feel like an act, I think, for all of them for quite some time. And that's pretty sad.
So let me just go to the original story, Sam, because I want to talk about the Daily Mail's involvement in all of this too in just a moment. But for folk who may not have read the original exclusive, it said, sources said the Duke of Sussex is consulting people from his old life as a working royal after allegedly growing dissatisfied with advice from American-based image experts. The overtures signal the first stage in a strategy to rehabilitate Harry that would involve him spending more time in the UK to repair his relationship with his father and potentially initiate a partial return to the royal fold. Sources stress that Harry and Meghan, who have spent the past 4 years living in self-imposed exile in California, are not seeking a permanent return. But this newspaper can also reveal that the couple have parted company with yet another American PR advisor, Christine Wales-Shermer, joined the Sussexes in 2020 as head of communications, but left quietly last year. So she is the 10th staff member to have left the couple in 3 years. So it certainly feels like they have reached rock bottom, Sam. This feels like desperation. But first, guys and girls, this is the best time of the year, right? Football is back. We're talking Premier League in the UK, in the US, NFL Sundays and college football Saturdays. And with that comes the glorious grind of fantasy football lineup. So this is where your inner manager comes alive, setting the perfect fantasy roster, screaming at your TV, and making last-minute waiver moves that either make you a hero or the guy everyone ridicules in the group chat. You know, I've been there. But listen, while you're over here making sure your fantasy team is dialed in, don't let your personal grooming become the guy that gets left on the bench. Because let's be honest, nobody wants to fumble their grooming routine. That's where Manscaped's Performance Package 5.0 Ultra comes in, acting as your all-in-one grooming playbook. From keeping things sharp down below with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra to taking care of those rogue nose and ear hairs with the Weed Whacker 2.0, this is the lineup that will keep you looking and feeling like a champ on and off the field. Clean, confident, and ready to dominate your fantasy league. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra Groin and Body Hair Trimmer is the franchise player of your grooming roster with precise trimming capabilities. It's reliable, efficient, and gets the job done without fumbling. Whether it's for date night, a weekend tailgate, or just everyday grooming, this is the tool you want on your squad. And then let me tell you about this, the Weed Whacker 2.0, because we've got to be honest here, no one wants a surprise nose or air hair making a guest appearance on game day. So the Weed Whacker 2.0 handles those details like a pro, keeping you neat and ready to go. No missed tackles in your grooming gang. And look at it there, what a product. The Performance Package 5.0 Ultra doesn't stop at grooming essentials. It also comes with 2 free gifts. The Boxers 2.0 Midnight Bravo and the Shed 2.0 Toiletry Bag Premium Gear to ensure you're always ready for action, whether at home or on the road. So join the over 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for kickoff by heading over to manscaped.com. Use the code Outspoken for 20% off today. That is 20% off and free shipping. Trust me, you'll be drafting the real MVP of grooming this season. And just before you come in, I want to share with you a post on X from the royal YouTuber, according to Taz, who wrote, "Can't believe the number of people think that Harry wants reconciliation. He wants leverage and content to sell. He might be convincing a few people he's changed, but it will only be weaponized them to fight his battles for him. He does not want peace because he's not sorry." And Sam, I have to agree with Taz on this. I do. I don't believe him. I don't trust his motives. If he was going to get another Netflix deal, he'd probably be quite happy. He's worried about the money running out, and he's worried about the fact that no one gives a damn about him and Meghan because he no longer has any proximity or connection to the royal family.
Well, exactly. And she's right, and you're right. I had never, and that's why I wondered, will he be wearing a wire? The royals are always going to have that big question mark, because I haven't seen anything, I don't think anybody else has, to substantiate that the Netflix contract was ever dissolved. In other words, is Netflix behind this saying, let's get them back into the fold and let's get some good stuff. Let's get, really. So if I were the royals, I would say, before you step foot in this palace, in our lives, we want proof from lawyers all signed that there has been a dissolution, that the contract has been dissolved, closed out, or hasta luego, bye. Don't even come here, because there's that question mark. And I would say the greater likelihood, given lots of evidence and past demonstration, is that if that Netflix contract is still intact, oh, Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
yep. But the thing is, Sam, William is not going to be that stupid. And I'm not calling the king stupid. It's not about that. It's just he's in a very different place. He is battling very serious cancer and he wants an easier life. And so for him, an easier life is the idea of Harry not hating the family. At the same time, Sam, Charles, I am told from very reliable sources, cannot afford to and does not want to fund Harry's life and lifestyle and pay for his security and all of that type of thing. So you've got the money issue going on too. But William is going to be uncompromising, because the thing is, Harry was warned time and again, Sam, if you go after the wives, if you go after Catherine, if you go over after Camilla, there's the red line, you would have crossed it. And he ignored that advice. And he crossed the red line, and he attacked Catherine, and he attacked Camilla. And so Charles may be able to forgive. It's his son. Remember, I've reported on William for many, many years. He's a stubborn guy. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with him being stubborn. I don't think that he should forgive Harry. I don't think he should forgive Harry. I don't think he can trust Harry. And as you say, Harry hasn't even offered up an apology. All he's done is said, oh, maybe I now won't demand that you apologize to Meghan. I mean, that is the delusion of this guy, Sam.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's another component to this, because I know culture and tradition in Great Britain, intertwined with the public, is very different than in America, where we tend to be more rugged individualists. So with that said, it seems like, and I had heard, he also hurt the public. He betrayed public trust.
He did.
And there was a time in an interview when he said, and it was everywhere in their PR, I was never happy in Great Britain anyway. I didn't really like it there. So how do the people of Great Britain feel that this guy all of a sudden wants to...
We don't want him back.
No, exactly.
I mean, Sam, that is such a good point that you've raised, because what about the Netflix documentary where he also trashed the fact that we had voted for Brexit and tried to make out that the country was full of the far right? Ludicrous. We voted for Brexit because we believe in the nation state, we believe in borders, and we were worried about what was happening to our country. What about the fact, Sam, that he trashed the Commonwealth in the Netflix series and tried to say that it was British Empire 2.0. That was the life's work of the late Queen Elizabeth II. And I will say, I do not believe the British public will forget that Harry made Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip's dying days a misery. A misery. Because of his victim complex. That was inexcusable. They had delivered a life of service for us. They deserved their family to be on board and on side for the past few years. And he can kid himself as much as he wants that his grandmother loved him. Well, she may have loved him. I'm sure she did love him. She did not love his behavior, Sam. She did not love his behavior. No. She refused the half in and half out deal at the Sandringham Summit.
No, and he sat there and let his wife mock Queen Elizabeth as she was dying of bone cancer. That was disgusting, And then there's this other little tidbit. You can't help but bring this up, given everything that's going on globally. In his book, he bragged about killing 25 Taliban members. Now, in my opinion, he has to be really stupid or just doesn't read to know that there's a large Muslim Islam population in Great Britain. So to just think he's going to jump back there with no apology about that, with no public statement, with no and act like that's okay, his return is okay, not only with British citizens who now are largely Muslim as well. Who does he think he is? Just offending, insulting, violating everybody, but I'm going back. Well, what you have a lot of apologizing to do at a minimal before you do that. But I think it's a stupid move on his part. I think he's lost. He needs years of counseling, and I think he's again with arrested development, in my opinion. I think he's living in a fantasy world now, and he wants an opiate, a Band-Aid, an escape. Escapism doesn't work with all the damage he's done. He's got to take another approach.
And he made himself a security target. That's the thing. He made himself a security target by revealing that information. And then he wants his dad to come in and force the British government to fund his security. That's not how it works. There has to be a division between the royal family and the government. I mean, this Mail on Sunday article said one friend has already devised a strategy for how Harry might begin moving in UK circles again, even carrying out very low-key royal duties. Although the Duke is said to be open to ideas from many sources. A source said that the friend believes if Harry comes back to the UK with zero fuss and does zero publicity and attends very mundane events, he could prove himself and win over the British public again. Nuh-uh. ain't happening. Because you know who the British public trust? They trust the late Queen Elizabeth II. And it was her decision, Sam, that he had to make a choice. You can't be a part-time royal. You can't be cashing in on your title at some points of the day in order to make millions from Netflix and then try and serve the British public for the rest of the day. So unfortunately, I don't believe he will be able to win the British public over. And what I cannot work out, Sam, is why the Daily Mail, where I used to work, has decided to become the mouthpiece, the propagandist for this Rehabilitate Harry, Operation Bring Harry in from the cold. Every single week they are pushing this narrative, and they've actually run some disgusting columns this week, Sam, heaping the pressure on Prince William to take his brother back. It's like, do you not think Prince William has enough going on at the moment? Heir to the throne, father's got really serious cancer, wife has cancer. Do you really think at the moment his priority should be trying to rehabilitate Prince Harry?
This just goes to show you how sick PR is, and I think there are still some people there who are under the hub of their PR who are very left skewed and very, wanting Harry to come back into the fold. To get back to what we were saying, sometimes you just got to laugh. And the only realistic thing I think he could do if he comes back into the quote fold would be if the palace brings back the role of court jester. There he has it.
Yeah, but he doesn't even have a good sense of humor anymore. He's a misery guts. He's a complete misery guts. In the meantime, Sam, what we're seeing is your sister launched this publicity drive. Did you see the cover of Us Weekly with this absolutely sycophantic piece about how she's become such great friends with Ellen DeGeneres? Well, wasn't that a bit ridiculous given that Ellen has pretty much become one of the most disliked celebrities on Hollywood? If she's the person backing you, isn't that very odd given that they've both been accused of the same thing? Treating the public like pieces of, you know what I'm saying?
Exact birds of a feather. And I got to say, wait, what happened to all the A-listers? Ellen DeGeneres is not an A-lister. So while everyone else in Hollywood has like abandoned ship because they know better, they've seen enough, been there, seen that, done that. No, thank you. I think it would be easy to want to crawl back to Ellen DeGeneres. In my opinion, it's foolhardy. And let's not forget the fact that Us Weekly reportedly is also under the hub of her paid PR. So you see Vanity Fair, Mademoiselle, Elle, there are several magazines that are still writing stupid fluff stories about her. And we all see it right away. And we're like, whatever. It doesn't work, but keep crying, keep grinding the organ monkey. It's crazy, in my opinion.
Let me tell you, Sam, because one of my jobs on this show, as you know, is to expose the mainstream media and what's going on. So if people are wondering why all of a sudden Us Weekly have done this complete 180 and they are now propagandists for Meghan Markle, if you're wondering why, let me tell you, Us Weekly has a new boss, a new editor-in-chief. He's a guy called Dan Wakeford. Well, guess where Dan Wakeford used to work? People magazine. He was the propagandist for Meghan Markle. So what he's done is he's got this new job. He's trying to sell Us Weekly, and he has said, we will run these positive puff pieces on Meghan. So we can absolutely now trust that what we're reading in Us Weekly is coming from the mouth of Meghan Markle. But what the issue is you can't hide the fact you've got a very unhappy husband. Do you think she cares, Sam? Do you think she's going to want to try and save the marriage, given that he wants to go back to the UK?
No, because they've had enough time that if she cared about him and cared about saving the marriage, they would have firstly respected the royal family, knowing Harry's lineage, tradition, ties to his family. If she cared about Harry, that would have been the first consideration. Not let's go back to Hollywood and heck with them all. it seems like it seemed like a bull in a china shop kind of situation where, we're gonna stir the pot, cause enough ruckus, we're gonna bail out and do what we want to do with totally reckless disregard for everyone. So to answer your question, no, because then they would have started, she would have cared and she wouldn't have done that in the beginning. If she cared about Harry knowing his longtime love for and relationship with his beloved, iconic, amazing grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, she wouldn't have mocked her on Netflix with Harry sitting right next to her, helpless, bright red, and probably, in my opinion, soiling himself because he just realized that they had done the unforgivable. She wouldn't have done
Yeah.
that. So
But you
everything that
can't
she's done,
take
in my
that
opinion,
back.
is known and
You
can't take it
cannot
back.
take that back. That is the issue.
Exactly.
Oh, goodness me. Sam,
Ooh.
goodness me. It's all going off. But absolutely brilliant to have your insight. Final thing I wanted to ask you, Sam. Surely if he's talking about reuniting with his British family, shouldn't Meghan be talking about reuniting with your father? A man who
Um,
remains recovering from a serious stroke just down the road. Wouldn't it be time for Meghan to actually reach out to Thomas? Has she done that, Sam?
no, and you know what? Again, we're not just talking about a simple rift. We're not talking about a parent-child disagreement. We are talking about something so egregious, immoral, betraying him, lying, using him, abandoning him through and being, I think, integral in two heart attacks and a stroke. And then, like Harry, to waltz right in, like, I'm here. Uh, no, off you bugger now. It's really, it's not going to work. It would be horrible. That would be worse than the original insult and damage. It's like, okay, now that I run over your head, let me come in and run over your heart.
Yeah,
Uh, no,
yeah,
no, no, no,
yeah. No, I get
not
it.
gonna work.
What a mess. What an
We don't want that.
absolute mess. But you warned of it. Sam Markle warned the world. She warned the royal family. And look at what's happened. Harry's probably thinking, I wish I'd listened to Samantha Markle rather than demonize her. I wish I'd listened to my brother Prince William rather than demonize him. I guess there's no point saying I told you so now, but I will point it out because he was warned. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please do subscribe if you want lots more clips and interviews like that. Plus, if you want to watch our totally uncensored after show, then visit www.outspoken.live.